Hello, I'm Coach Christian. It's a bright Saturday morning here in Congo. Um, yeah, very beautiful day. I wish you could have my view. All right, so welcome to yet another video, right? Every single day, I create a video that's designed to help you deal with a problem that's stressing you out. And I usually answer a question every single day. So let's not waste any time, right? Oh yeah, and I help extremely stressed people to deal with their stress by observing them for themselves. And this channel is all about dealing with stress by observing it for yourself. So let us now jump into the question of the day. It's as follows. Coach Christian, I am often very harsh on myself. I feel that I am not good enough. No one will ever want me. If people know who I truly am, they will all leave me. How do I stop all this negative self-talk? Coach Christian, I am often very harsh on myself. I feel that I am not good enough. No one will ever want me. If people know who I truly am, they will all leave me. How do I stop all this negative self-talk? All right, let's go into this. So this is common, right? So the first thing to realize is that you're not the only one who has negative self-talk, right? Pretty much from my own observation, everybody has it, right? I haven't met a single person who doesn't have what, like, okay, let me put it this way, right? This negative self-talk that you have is the consequence of incompetence, right? I mean, if you were to have your way, would you ever choose to have negative self-talk, or would you like to be positive and joyful all the time? This is an obvious answer, isn't it? You'd rather be joyful, happy, in a positive state. So this negative self-talk is not something you're choosing. It's happening and it feels like it's beyond your control, right? You're not in control over your own thoughts, which is another way of saying that you're sick, isn't it? Right? For instance, suppose that my right arm started to move without, it starts moving without me wanting it to move. I want it to stay still, but it's shaking, right? Imagine something like that. Imagine that my arm, when I want to move it, it stays still. And obviously, I'm sick. There's something wrong, isn't it? I don't have total grasp over my hand. My hand is controlling me instead of controlling the hand. This is the same with negative self talk. This is your intellect gone mad, okay? You're not in control over your own faculties, right? Your mind is just doing whatever it wants. You don't want to think a thought and you're thinking the thought. You just don't know how your mind works. So this is the first thing to realize is that you are sick. You're actually mad. Okay? That's the beginning. You're mad, isn't it? How do you call someone who can't control their own mind? Right? It's mad. The only difference is that uh, your madness is normal, right? So if you just look at people, they have the same, right? They don't have control over their faculties. They don't have control over their own minds. How they feel is controlled, and I mean, I'm also in the same category actually. I haven't transcended this. So pretty much everybody I've ever, pretty much, why say pretty much? Everybody I've encountered um, are people who get triggered by external events, which means that they don't have mastery over their own thoughts and emotions. Okay? So they don't especially have mastery over their own mind, right? The mind is just running, they're full of belief systems, and so they have a lot of suffering going on. Okay? Now, the only reason why you haven't been declared mad is because the entire society is mad. You see? So think about it this way, like, if I mean, like you see, if you, let's say, you're walking on the street and you find a cripple, right? Someone who has, like, let's say, their legs are broken, right? They broke their legs, so you've just met a cripple. Now, notice you're gonna say, obviously, something's wrong with him, isn't he? He's disabled in some way, right? He's disabled. Why? Because everybody else can walk. But imagine if everybody else was crippled. Now it would be normal, right? It would be normal for people not to walk. It would just be normal. But just because everybody around you is crippled doesn't mean you're still not crippled, right? It just means that everybody around you is crippled also. This is the same thing, you see. It's really a mental illness. It's a sickness, it's a madness when you're not able to control your own mind. Your mind is controlling you. You want to remain quiet, but your mind is thinking about how you're a loser, how you're not good enough, how no one will ever love you. This is a sickness. The only problem is that everybody around you is sick also, you see. And so this is what makes it hard to recognize it as a sickness and try to find a way out of it, you see. So because to find a way out of it, you have to recognize it as a sickness. But the entire society is that way. So we've been taught that it's normal, it's okay to not have control over your own thoughts, right? Right? It's like negative self-talk is gonna happen, and there's little you can do to it, right? All you gotta do is, like they say, the solution is to to think positive thoughts, right? But you can't really control your own thinking, right? So this is what we are taught in society. Here's what I'm saying, right? So if you look around and ask people, and if you check with yourself, you have this belief that your own misery, your own sadness, your own stress, your own suffering is caused by things outside of you, isn't it? So, for example, now you're telling me your own mind is making you suffer, right? Your own thoughts are making you suffer, and the reason you're under pressure is because the boss is putting you under pressure. The reason you're not at ease in your own home is because everybody is against you, right? So it's their fault. It's them that are making me miserable. It's them that are making me suffer. It's the negative thoughts that are making me suffer, right? So this is actually not true. The reason you're suffering is because you're incompetent, right? It's really not that the thoughts are not making you suffer. Thoughts themselves are not bad, right? The thoughts just it's just like part of the what your capabilities is thought. The thoughts themselves are not bad, because sometimes you have thoughts that you want, isn't it? Sometimes you need to solve a problem and the thought of a solution comes up. In that moment, you love thought. Or when you're thinking about or remembering, when you're remembering a great time you had in the past, right? Or what a great, let's say, a great time you had with your mother as a kid, a great childhood memory. When you're thinking about that, you don't have any problem with thought, right? The only time you have problem with thought is when it becomes negative self-talk, isn't it? But thought is not to blame here, right? It's just thought is just like a tool, right? The problem is that you and I, we don't know how to use this tool. But the tool itself is not bad, right? It's like a car, right? If I don't know how to drive a car, the car is a very dangerous object. In fact, I can think the car is my enemy, right? If let's say you put me inside of a speeding car, and for me actually I don't know how to drive, right? So if you put me inside of a speeding car, of course, right? Of course it's gonna be my enemy. I'm gonna be super scared, right? An accident can happen at any time. This thing is speeding. I don't know what to do. It's a completely dangerous situation, and I might think that the car is my enemy, when in fact the car is not an enemy. If you put the correct driver inside of the car, there is no problem, right? If you put someone who knows how to drive, the car is a joy. It's a joy to drive at fast speeds. You see, there's nothing wrong with the car. The problem is with the driver. It's not the negative self talk that's the problem. You are the problem. You're the driver, right? But you're the driver who doesn't have his hands upon the wheel. You don't know how to drive the car. You don't know how to drive your own mind. Just like if I don't know how to drive the car is driving me. It's the same with thought, isn't it? If I don't know how to drive my own thoughts, my thoughts are going to be driving me, right? So this is a problem I have. This is a problem you have. My own observation is it's a problem that the entire society has. Blaming external things, including thoughts, for their own misery, and really just indicating that the entire society has no mastery over its own thoughts and emotions, you see. So then the first step is, if you're talking about negative self-talk, how to end it, the key thing is to gain mastery, isn't it, over your own thoughts and emotions, right? To get into the driver's seat, okay? So then your natural question is, okay, great, Christian, now how do I do that? How do I gain mastery? How do I gain control over my own thoughts and emotions? Okay. So, to answer this, how do I get mastery over my own thoughts and emotions? Let's ask the question, how do you get mastery over anything? Forget about your thoughts and emotions for now. Um, for instance, there was a time when you didn't know how to ride a bicycle, right? And at those times, if I put you on a bike, the bike was a danger, right? Not because the bike was bad, it's just you didn't know how to ride it. Question, how did you become good at riding? How did you gain mastery over the bike? How did you get to the point where the bike is taking instructions from you instead of you being driven by it? And the answer is simple, isn't it? You learned how the bike works. And you didn't learn it by reading a book, right? Even if you read a book on how a bike runs, you still get on the bike and fall. The way you learned to ride a bike was by actually getting on the bike, wasn't that right? And falling and making tons of mistakes until eventually you figured out the functioning of the bike. Once you understood enough, you don't have perfect knowledge of your bike. There's a lot about your bike that you don't know. But once you observed, you experienced, right, hands-on experience. Once you had enough hands-on experience of how the bike moves, you were able to ride the bike without any problem, right? Now the bike began to take instructions from you. And this is true with anything you want to gain mastery over. Any tool, that if you want to gain mastery over any tool, the first step is to understand how it works. To experience how it works for yourself, not just read a book, but or be told how it works, but to actually see how the damn thing works. This is the same thing with your thoughts and emotions. How much time have you invested in understanding how your thoughts work? Not reading books on thought, not reading books on great positive thinking, but seriously, how much time have you invested in paying attention to how your mind works, how your thoughts work? If you're like most people, zero, right? Zero, right? No time at all. Like, okay, there've been a few moments, but really nothing. Practically no time at all spent. You spent a lot of time thinking, but how much time have you spent observing how thought functions, right? So here's the thing, right? Just like your bike, remember your bike? When you started, you were falling off of the bike. But you see, the more time you spent with the bike, observing the bike, the more you learned about how the bike works. Even before you were able to ride it, you had more control over it. For example, the moment you learned that let's say the handlebars of the bike determine the direction in which the bike is going to move. That one piece of information, even if you didn't totally understand how the bike works, that one piece of information at least enabled you to avoid, let's say, crashing into walls, right? So if let's say you're driving into the road and you know nothing else about the bike, at least you know to turn the handlebars and not go in front of the truck or something, right? Every observation gave you more capacity, more mastery over the bike. so the bike was less likely to control you, isn't it? This is the exact same thing with thought. You don't have mastery over it. You're not going to get mastery over your own thoughts and emotions today. However, the more you observe them, the more mastery and control you have over them. The more you observe your mind, the more mastery you have over the mind. In particular, if you get hit by negative self talk, instead of fighting it by trying to think positive, instead of saying to yourself, I shouldn't think negative, just observe the negative thoughts. Don't do anything else. Just pay attention to how they work, right? Here's what I recommend. Sit down with your back straight to be as alert as possible because you want to be truly attentive to your thoughts. Close your eyes to shut out all distractions and let the negative thoughts run through your mind. Just let them run. Notice what happens in your mind and in your body. That's all. Just pay attention to the working of these thoughts. And you'll notice that over time, they'll never have a total grip upon you. You'll notice that in the future, even when you're in a very deep negative state, you're not totally in the deep negative state. There's a certain level of awareness, right? There's a part of you that is not totally lost in this misery. And that in itself is progress, you see. And so, given that right now I don't have total control over my thoughts and emotions, you don't have control over your thoughts and emotions. But at the very least, right? But at the very least, it's already progress not to be totally taken over by your thoughts and emotions, right? The best we can do right now is just to learn as much as we can about this phenomenon. Let me learn as much as I can by observation how my thoughts work, how my emotions work. The more I observe, the more I'm able, the less control my mind has over me. And I continue doing that until I find a better way that will allow me to have total mastery over my own thoughts and emotions. So look, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the bell notification, right? Oh, don't forget to hit the subscribe button first, and then hit the bell notification, ding, ding, ding. This will ensure that you're notified whenever I publish a new video. So like I said, I publish these videos every single day. And the videos are designed to provide you with tools that you can use to deal with any stressful situation in your life. Now, if you have any questions about what I said, any comments, suggestions, whatever, just go to the description of this video and put them in the comment section below, okay? And that will allow me to know what you're thinking and also ensure that the videos I make, right, are perfectly designed to meet your needs, right? And I may actually feature a question that you ask on a forthcoming video. And if this idea intrigued you, this idea of observing your thoughts and emotions, gaining mastery over these thoughts that are just negative and all of that, just gaining mastery over your own system, your thoughts, your mind, body, that kind of thing. If you want to learn more about how to do this, just go to the description of this video, click on a link called the Observe Approach. This will give you free and instant access to a simple but very powerful method that you can apply right now. And the method is going to help you to solve any problem that is stressing you out. In particular, it will help you to solve the problem of these thoughts that you have no control over, these thoughts that are driving you, this madness that you have, right? Because you are not in control over your own faculties. All right. So just click on that link. And I do have videos related to this that I've done in the past, so I'll just link to those videos below. Those will, if you're interested in this video, I suggest you watch those ones because those will give you more details about this whole business of dealing with negative thoughts, taking control over your own system instead of being controlled by your own mind and body. So otherwise, look, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.